Kids are sad, the sky is blue, there are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away, they close the plant and the mall arcade. Kids are sad, the parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away, the seasons pass but the monsters stay.
Hey everybody, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. We've got some interesting updates today, comparing and contrasting a little bit of the parents and what they've said regarding their children who have been missing since 2021, the summer of 2021 rather. As we all know. Awesome. Glad that you can hear me. I was trying to fix my microphone. I know that it cuts out sometimes when I'm speaking. I didn't realize it until I listened to the last video. I don't like to re-watch myself. You know, kind of weird. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be off camera today so I can focus a little better. But anywho, how's everybody doing? Put in the chat how you doing. I want to know how my viewers are. And I also wanted to let you know that some of the video content that I'm trying to upload is not looking good. So I always like to watch it before I post it. And there is something going on, but I am working on it. Mr. Eve, you're doing fantastic. That's great. Yay. Good. And I got your text about Costco. All right. I think that's all I need. The weasels are here and active. Yeah. Oh my God, Julia. No, ma'am. -29 wind chill. That's for the birds. You need to come to Texas. It's finally warming up. It was 20 something degrees for 4 days and nothing but sleet and ice on the roads. It's awful. Tired but good. I hear you. That's me pretty much every day. Hey, everybody. Let me say hi to the ones I missed. Miss Rubug. Hi, Brooklyn. Of course, Mr. Eve. My shed lines. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Crystal. Yay, glad you're here. Shannon. And anyone else who... Oh, can't forget my Jeep girl. And anyone else that I missed, let me know. Or not let me know. I appreciate you being here. I miss a lot of people at the beginning, sorry. No cockroaches in my chat. My shed lines. Just kidding. Okay, so let's get to it today. One parent rather, of Michael Vaughan and Summer Wells. That would be Brandy Neal and Dawn Wells, who came out in their own little way, right, to update, I guess, the public on where they're at as things are going in their missing child's case. So I want to start with Summer Wells because I have not, really dived into Summer Wells' case in a long time because there really isn't much to go off of. I don't like going off of speculation of other creators who were close to the parents of Summer Wells. I just don't. That is just something that has done nothing but cause issues, as we all know. No matter if they were right or wrong, it doesn't really matter at this point. But I do think that it's interesting on some of the things that I listened to, especially the lab, Josh from the lab, and the call from Dawn Wells. I don't know if anyone else has listened to it. It's really bad. It's not productive at all. Matter of fact, Dawn Wells says this: I'm the victim. I think I counted it about 30 times that he called himself a victim because of what had happened to a 5-year-old little girl in his family. We all know who I'm talking about. Where there were SA allegations, as well as 2 others. I am just still flabbergasted at this creature. Not to mention the other one that he married, Summer's mom. Now, I don't know if everyone knows this, but Candace is having heart issues. She was born with a heart defect. I was reading that when I was researching the Rose Bly case, which, let me tell you, remember the video that I put out about, Candace Herrera's brother? It is coming. I got some more information as today, actually, regarding some documents, case documents of his. And that kind of ties into, Grandma going to Wisconsin right after Summer disappeared. We will get into that another day. But I wanted to just kind of update everybody on what I think, where Dawn's obviously wrong. But let's go back to kind of the beginning a little bit on the DCS case. All right. He's blaming DCS for all of these problems he's having for not being able to talk to the boys. Now, to be honest with you, I feel like Dawn Wells, and Candace for that matter, have been grasping for straws here to talk to those boys. I remember a time when Dawn Wells said that he talked to the boys. I don't think he was supposed to at the time, but it was in the middle of the investigation last year. If anybody can remember what creator he said that on, I want to say it was Prayer Garden. I just can't remember. I didn't listen to her very often, but I definitely want to figure that out because I do remember hearing that he talked to the boys. So as we know, the boys were removed, I think the day before, ironically, the day before Michael Vaughan went missing. That is just eerie to me. And then Jennifer Youngblood, Justice for All, came on to WJHL to kind of explain that she's trying to help mitigate the backlash on everything. Well, ironically, I love Jay for Justice, but that blew up. Right. Yeah, that didn't go as she planned, I don't think. So this is one thing that I noticed she said a long time ago about the DCS thing and about the boys, where they were the day Summer Wells went missing. Okay. So she says here, after talking about what she's doing and all that stuff, Dawn hasn't faltered from his original story. Let me pull that up so you can see it. Dawn hasn't faltered from his original story, Youngblood said. The only thing that I'm confused about is the statement that was made that he took the boys to work that morning with him and dropped them back off when Candace said to her friend that they were at home cleaning. So that was one thing I haven't had a chance to ask Dawn. Now, if you go and watch Jay for Justice's interview, the original, and then she revisits it later, I think June 2022. Hey, Tails. That really was cleared up by both parents only to the fact that they never went to work. All right. But he said, Dawn said that. Dawn said they came to work with him all the time. So there was a little bit of like, oh, y'all misunderstood me. Y'all misunderstood me. I didn't say that. You always trying to twist my words, right? Always trying to tell me that I'm doing something bad and I'm not. So whatever. And I thought that was interesting because let's think about that with Summer. Okay, let's think about it. If the boys were with Dad at work, obviously Candace's story is finito, gone, out of there. Because, her story is that they were there and that they were supposed to be watching Summer. So you can't blame the boys anymore. for not watching the sister. So I'm sure that they saw the boys there before Dawn showed up. That would clear up a bunch of things. I feel like they were at the house. Now, in the Michael Vaughan case, there was a lot of miscommunication, if you will, from Brandy Neal. And I had the screenshots to prove that. She was trying to protect her family. She admitted that she lied about where her older children were. Okay, she did. She backtracked on that. There's screenshots of Brandy Neal saying, I was trying to protect my family. Now, I don't know what protection that was about. I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't want people asking them questions because it was a sensitive nature and they didn't want them to be harassed. Either way, you know, these little bitty mistruths, if you will, I feel create the platform of sleuths and speculators and content creators to hone in on. And I'm going to show you an example of that in the Michael Vaughan case here in a minute. There's a recent interview with Brandy Neal. Last night it aired on KTVB. I have been stricken so many times from KTVB when the cockroaches came and tried to, reign supreme, I guess, on Michael Vaughan's case. So I don't know if I'm going to play it. I might just go ahead and do it anyway and not give a shit. I'll just keep posting it, I guess. But, you know, me and Alexandra Duggan, who is at KTVB, actually talked during a Twitter DM thing and kind of cleared up some of the issues. We didn't fight. We have. But we did kind of clear the air, if you will, on some things. Yeah, go ahead and hit that like button while you're waiting. I'm going to pull up Dawn Wells' latest with WJHL. One moment, y'all. You know what bothers me while we're waiting? There has not been an update from TBI. I think it's time. I think it's time to knock on those doors and ask what the hell is going on. Because I just think it's ridiculous. And this is where we are right now. No updates at all. All right, let's watch this video.
For the first time since speaking with the father of a missing Hawkins County girl for the first time since his release from jail. Good evening, I'm Sarah Diamond.
I'm Josh Smith. Yeah, it's been almost a year since we've last seen or heard from Donald Wells. An Amber Alert to find his daughter Summer Wells remains active 19 months after it was first issued.
Yeah, Don was released from jail back in October after serving time for a DUI charge. He broke his silence in a recent post on findsummerwells.com.
He criticized the Department of Children's Services in Tennessee about how they handled the case involving his older children. And now we're hearing from him in his first on-camera interview with News Channel 11 since getting out of jail.
Ansley Daniels spoke with him. Ansley, what did he tell you?
Well, Josh and Sarah, this is the first time we are hearing from Don since he was released from jail, and in the months following, with their sons in DCS custody and Saturday marking Summer's 7th birthday, Don Wells told me that he and his wife just want their family back together. It's been almost a year and a half since Summer Wells went missing from her home in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County.
We have to prepare ourselves for a worst case scenario, you know.
Dawn, I don't know how much worst case scenario it can get, sweetheart. Am I wrong? Did I miss something?
We could always hope for a good scenario, but you know, it can't be good because no matter what situation she's in, she's lost her freedom. Even if she's alive, she's lost her freedom. She can't be seen in public.
About a month after she was reported missing, her 3 older brothers were placed into DCS custody.
We really want our boys back home. If Summer was to be found today, we wouldn't be able to see her or talk to her, and we can't talk to our boys.
Were they in touch with Candace while you were in jail?
Yes, yeah.
But did something...
Did you hear that? So I thought that was very interesting, y'all, that she got to talk to the boys. Did I hear that right? Let's back it up.
Change when you got out of jail?
Let's back it up.
Were they in touch with Candace while you were in jail?
Yes, yeah.
But did something change when you got out of jail?
The only thing that changed is suddenly we weren't allowed to contact them at all.
Wells spent a little more than 8 months in the Hawkins County Jail for pleading guilty.
Now, why do you think that is? If anybody has any ideas as to why it changed when he got out. She was able to talk to the boys. He wasn't when he got out. And now he can't talk to them at all. That is some bull honking doo-doo. And look, I am not taking up for Dawn Wells. I don't think any of the parents or any of the family should be talking to those boys right now. We don't know the details, but what we do know is that Dawn said on the findsummerwells.com website that they don't have a DCS abuse case against the boys. All right? I don't know about that. I don't know what's true. We're not ever going to know. They're not going to tell us that. Anybody. DCS for sure. But why? Crystal says, was it a line of bull he was fed by Candace? Could be. He's not going to want to go to the courts. He just got out of jail. And now Candace has this heart problem. Now, I don't know if she was just scared to death of what Don was going to do to her and it stressed her out. I don't know. I am no doctor. I don't know the details of what happens to her during stress with her heart defect. I know she has one, though. They had to go to Texas I read that article where she had to go to Texas for a specialist. That's why, she was born there. But I just think that it's very interesting that all of a sudden when he gets out of jail, he can't speak to the boys. Who and how and why? Candace. Candace knows.
Guilty to a DUI charge.
One of the guards gave me a copy of the New Living Translation Bible, so I found that to be about the best book there was. So I read it several times because that's all there really was to do. And I was in 23-hour lockdown, so for my safety, they say.
And since he was released from jail, Wells says it's been a challenge to gain custody back.
They're doing nothing to help us. In fact, they're making us jump through all kinds of hoops, which is almost impossible to jump through all of them and hold a job and do all these things. They're making it real, real tough on us.
And he has a great point. As much as I hate to say that, he makes a great point. They're making it very, very tough on us. Well, you know who I really think's making it tough on you, Dawn? It's your wife. It's your wife. And her mama. I think that this is, from the jump, has always been about isolating Dawn because he, and I hate to say this, is the weaker link. Those two broads over there, the Herrers, the Herrera-Bly duo, are some tough broads until it's time to pay the piper. They play games. That's what they do. They were raised that way. They were born that way. So, in my opinion. So, what does that mean? Don needs to grow some balls and a mind. And he needs to actually dive into this. Fight back a little bit, bruh. If you're innocent, which I don't, I think that he knows. I think he knows. I think he had to know. And I think that his balls were in a blender. I do. Because those two broads over there in the holler are something else. And it really is irrelevant what that is right now because we're not going to know it. But he needs to fight. Why don't you go and expose all of the things that have changed since you got out of jail that your wife was privy to? You're not, unless you know already. And you're trying to play coy here. But there's something there, y'all. Okay. Vegan says, he only has Candace's word. She saw them when he was in jail. I keep seeing the video of Summer dancing in the rain near the for sale barrel. I know. Circle jerk, hey, you. I believe they can't speak to the boys because of Candace being suspected under the influence during their last call. Dawn claims she was slurring due to a stroke. Now, I did not know that could be something they could use. That is very interesting. Maybe she was. And maybe this stroke thing is just a big old pile of poop. It's just a story. And maybe they caught on to it. I mean, you have to, in Tennessee, I read this earlier, in Tennessee, you have to follow the IPA plan, the parenting plan, things that you have to do before you get your boys back. It's a long process if you keep putting it off. And apparently they didn't even show up to court, I believe, at one point. So, you know that they do have the right to ask for them to terminate their parental rights. If Dawn and Candace keep messing up, I mean, I've got the receipts right here from Tennessee. Let me pull it up for you. If Dawn or Candace decides to watch, be very enlightening for you. Be very enlightening to see your rights. How the process works. And I'm going to scroll through this mumbo jumbo. Here's the permanency plan. Within 30 days, an initial permanency plan will be held. All right, home visits. It tells you right here on the website, Dawn. Sometimes you may have to voluntarily surrender. Here's the judicial termination of parental rights. I think that this might be a tactic. It could be. I don't know this. This is speculation, so hear me out. Maybe this is the tactic that the agencies maybe are looking at about what happened that day. Maybe there's something going on there. Maybe there's more to the story and they know that. And the boys are the key. And I've always felt that way. I have always felt that way. There's just no way to really speculate properly on that because we don't know. And they're minors. You know, it's kind of looked down upon to talk about siblings who are minors. Right. So I do think that there might be an angle here. But I think Candace is kind of behind it too. She sounded fine a few days ago, says Nene. No speech problems at all. That's what I was told. Shannon says the conditions those poor children were living in are enough to never return those boys. Agreed. And now they're back into renovating the house again. Because, Candace didn't do shit. They took a safe out of the house. We have confirmed that. So, Don will be watching this. If he's not lurking now, he will be later. Well, look, Don, get your power back. Guilty or not, all that shit aside, the light will come. You need to fight. You need to fight and see what's going on. If you're joining forces with your wife because for whatever reason you don't want to be ratted on, whatever. But you need to at least confirm what you're saying on these interviews because people are going to come after you and ask. That's the problem. That's the entire problem of this whole investigation with Summer and the speculation online because you can't back up what you say. And then something dramatic happens and a content creator, free Dawn's balls circle, Get your cojones back. That's hilarious. But no, seriously, you got to back up what you say what you mean. It was crazy what happened on the lab. I mean, just, whew, that was just too much. So go watch that if you want a shit show. You know, I kind of get it. Don, look, you know, Chris McDonough and the lab have not done you any favors. Likewise, you know, you haven't done them any favors, but this is not the right time to be losing your shit. All right, so judicial termination of parental rights. You may lose your parental rights involuntarily if a judge, court finds that there are legal grounds for term. All right, conditions that can justify termination of parental rights include severe child abuse, abandonment, wanton disregard, lack of concern. Lack of concern also means not showing up properly to hearings, being drunk on a phone call with your kids, non-compliance, same thing. Non-compliance specifically with the permanency plan, which is where I think Don got his balls in a blender, right? He was in jail. That's not being very permanency, is it? Not following the rules. 10-year prison sentence, mental incompetence of the parent. Now, I'm not going to be mean today, but I can tell you, I don't feel like Don would be the mental incompetence winner of those two. I just said what I said. Draw your own conclusions. All right. So, what does it mean? They can't make any decisions of the care of the child, and they're no longer legally responsible for the child. Wow. What does that mean in Summer Wells' case? The detective specifically said that the DCS case bled into Summer Wells' case. He said it in his interview. I can pull it up if I need to. So what does that mean when their rights are terminated, if they ever did? All right. There we go. You don't have a right to a lawyer with DCS. You can get one, but the court does not have to appoint you one. You're not privy to one just because you're in legal situation or a legal balls in a blender with them. So that is just something that I found very interesting with the DCS case. You know, you can complain about it, Don, but you're going to have to find out why. They give you a reason why. You're going to get a letter. Where's the letter? Ask Candace for the letter. You're going to get a lot of documents. You have a right to know, at least the right to know what your status is in the DCS case. All right. One life to live. Thank you. Catch you on that flip side. So, Vegan says he has admitted to CSA of his sister as well. So, enough reason for the boys not to be put at risk again. Right. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, Marlena. Yeah, he is not the victim at all. Yeah, maybe. Gag orders are a bitch, though. Gag orders can be placed on anybody if the judge allows it, right? So that was his take on the interview.
Wells
Let's finish
he
it.
has been in touch with investigators over Summer's case.
There's not one shred of evidence. There's nothing. As much as they've looked, as much as the work of this they've done, they haven't been able to come up with anything at all.
His wife, Summer's mother, Candace, has also been in and out of the hospital.
Candace has been in the emergency room 4 times for heart problems, and we're looking at eventually doing a major surgery, hopefully to correct the problem with her heart. But she's doing better, I think. But all this stress.
You know, I don't think they're going to tell Dawn or Candace anything about the investigation, even if they had information. They typically don't and shouldn't. It's very reckless to tell parents anything because of social media and the influence of it, right? Innocent or not, especially if they weren't. So I think that Dawn has no idea what's going on. I don't think he has a clue. And he went to social media very quickly by himself. And I think he's kind of low-key asking for some guidance. All you got to do is ask, buddy. That's all you got to do. I'm sure, but you got to pick wisely. I would choose legal. That's just me, I don't know. Marlena says, especially Don, the way he blabs all over YouTube, I don't think he even asks what's going on, right? I really don't know the angle. But I think Circle Jerk had a great point. I'd bet my 401k on it. Law enforcement knows that's why they've been so quiet. When law enforcement is quiet, it's because they don't need help from the public. Right. I agree. Crystal says, I agree, Vive. I don't think he knows or was a part of what happened to Summer. Yeah, we talked about that. I think that he was involved when he knew about it. I really do feel like he was backed into a dark corner, because that's how I feel Candace and Grandis are. I do. They play victim and cry wolf while pointing the gun under the table at your balls in a blender. I do not want to talk about balls in a blender anymore. Sorry, I'm going to drop that. But you know what I'm saying? Or ditch the wife. I mean, that's your best bet. That's your best bet. No matter guilty or not, that's your best bet. In my opinion, I am no expert. This is for entertainment purposes only. Everything that I say is for the research and entertainment of this channel. Yeah, I think he fit pieces together later on, and now he isn't doing the right things by telling anyone, or he's waiting to find out where she's actually at. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we're going to get off of that. Disgusting. Sorry, my bad. Let's go move on to, well, let's finish this damn thing, and then we'll move on to Michael, because I have something that I want to share with you.
Press and stuff, it's not helping at all, I don't think, for sure.
This weekend marks Summer's 7th birthday.
It's just another day without her. I mean, I don't really want to celebrate her birthday without her.
A time where he will wonder what she would be like as a 7-year-old.
She was definitely going to be tall. She'd probably be as tall as me, I'd say, because she was growing so fast. And I'm sure she would be the same person, and she didn't have no qualms about taking on her brothers, that's for sure. She didn't hesitate to put them in their place real quick.
I always thought that was I think that this is interesting that he brings up the boys again about her standing up to them. Something to think about. That's not the first time he's done that. He's done that many times.
Don Wells says that even though there has not been any new leads in Summer's case recently, he's hopeful that by keeping her name in the news, there will continue to be some new information shared with police.
Ansley Daniel, thanks. Again, that Amber Alert for Summer Wells remains active. She has been missing.
Alrighty. So, key points there that I will never give up on with Summer, and the important parts of her disappearance in her case. CPS, DCS. I have always felt that DCS played a huge role, not only during her investigation, but before she went missing. Because we know about, DCS supposedly coming the next day after she went missing, correct? So for them to take the boys within 3 weeks, or so, or some change, that means that there was already in my opinion, an investigation rolling. And that's been put out there many, many, many times. I mean, we know that. So DCS is 100%, in my opinion, something to consider always when thinking about Summer and where she went. Okay. I do feel like it's interesting that both Michael and Summer's case have the vehicle and the driver is not a suspect of both vehicles, right? Of each case. They just want to know if they saw anything. I will always look at that as kind of a, let's see if somebody comes forward. Let's see who comes forward and who squeaks. I don't think that the red truck, nor do I think that the white Honda Pilot is nefarious in nature, but they could be. But it's just very funny to me that both cases went that angle. Think about that. We saw this vehicle around the area that the child went missing. You're not in trouble. We just want to talk to you, see if you saw anything. You know, and that kind of puts a seed in someone's mind who might know more than they are saying. And I think that was just a tactic, I do. I really do. Because if somebody comes in and says, well, I did see that Honda Pilot over there. Oh, you know what? I did see them drop off that person or this person. Or no, you know what? I did see them at that gas station later on that. You know, it's something to snowball some ideas. And I don't think that it was something that they actually needed. That's just me. Oh, here's that last straw. Oh, this. Real quick before I jump over to Michael. It doesn't matter what people think of us. After 9 months, I returned to the loss of everything. My wife and I stripped the house and started to rebuild our lives from scratch. And what is the first thing DCS does? They tell us we can no longer see or call our boys. Ask your wife. Ask your wife why. Get that paper, boo. I'm telling you. Moving on. So before we play, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. KTVB can do what they want. I thought me and Duggan were cool after last night. So if they strike me, I'll see how it is. But I did want to clarify something before the article could be nitpicked and looked at. All right. And I did confirm that Alex, when I pointed out something specific that I'm about to show you, it did change. It was updated. And she said, thank you. You know, she texted Brandy Neal to clarify the potential misinformation. All right. But unfortunately, I found a lot more. But, you know, at this point, I'm not paid to be a journalist. So I can only do so much. But I did make a very good point. So let me put up the interview and the article. She did work very hard on this, you could tell. Wanted to say that. So we'll play this in just a second. I'm going to stop it, you know, every 15 or 20 seconds or whatever the rule is. So my question about the article, pull up my tweet here. Please go follow me at Eve_EP_talk, EVP talk, if you want to follow my tweets. They can get a little squirrely sometimes. Yeah, to my lurkers, de-lurk yourself. I can get petty on there too, obviously. So here's my tweet. I'm gonna scroll in here. Very hard to see, isn't it? So I said, news coverage for Michael Vaughan. And I added KTVB and Duggan, Alex Duggan, who has been covering the case for a very long time. I said, I know you guys have seen this difference by now from all of the coverage done on the case. Is this change of timeline of the parent versus parents calling 911 legitimate? We all know, the ones that are following Michael's case and have been intensely, and there are a lot of them in the chat right now. Understand that the timeline discrepancies, no matter if it's Summer or Michael, are important. They matter and they need to be corrected, especially with the news. I think that sometimes the biggest issue with speculation is the wording that is chosen from media who talk to the parents versus law enforcement, and they mix them. No matter if it's intentional or not, they don't clarify it. Well, especially the local news here, because when you think of it one way, if you're thinking of a case one way, you're going to fill in those holes with where your intentions are. If you're with the family or you're not with the family, the wording is going to change, in my opinion. So what's the difference? Okay, it's a big one to me. This is huge. So back in the day, December 5th, 2021, KTVB said that Neal said her husband frantically called her at work to tell her he couldn't find Michael. Neal sped home, she said, where she was met with police cars and neighbors standing outside their houses. It was all just a big blur, Neal said. She sped back and forth down the neighborhood streets asking if people had seen Michael while Tyler spoke to law enforcement. Again, while Tyler spoke to law enforcement. I'm just screaming that he didn't wander off. There's no way in hell, Neal said. Okay, all right. Yeah, Wilted Lettuce, I agree. I think the boys are on the verge of talking. All right, so jump a year and a month and some change later, February 2nd, 2023, in this article. Neal previously told KTVB that her husband, Tyler Vaughan, was at home with her children, which is the older two. I don't know why they said was at home with her children because, yes, the older two are hers, but the youngest two are theirs. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a typo. But Michael was on the couch playing with his Nintendo. Vaughan went to check on Michael's little sister, Aria, who they call Buggy, in her bedroom. Vaughan ordered a pizza, came back out to the living room. Michael was gone. Now, we all know that has changed from he went to the garage to smoke a cigarette and order a pizza. That came from Brandy. Whoopsie daisy. She said, I forgot he quit smoking. So it is what it is. I'm not going to go there. But this is the important part. Vaughan called Neal, who was at work. She sped home, and the two began racing around the neighborhood to find him, she said. When they found no sign of their son, then they called the police. They. What? Now, look, I know that they just arrested the crazy lady Sarah. Stacy's in jail. I didn't forget. I'm not trying to forget about that or act like that never happened. We're going to get to that. But this right here is a problem. That is two different statements. It's huge. And before this video that I'm about to play aired, I did Brandy a solid. If you think about it, I did her a solid by making sure that that was fixed. And I sure did call this out. And I added the person who wrote the article. And I said, look. Is this legitimate? Which one is it? Because obviously us calling it out and not calling out the news of the discrepancies, it isn't working. So you had to go to the source, damn it. So let me go pull it down. She said, the family called the police. I don't think this is a change in reporting. Brandy sometimes spoke to us in generalities, so I don't think it means anything. If it matters, I can go in and correct that to reflect prior reporting. Now, hold on, wait a minute. That hurt my feelings. It did, because you correct it if it needs to be corrected. If it was an update, then you update. I mean, just clarify. That's all I wanted. I was just like, look, I just want to know. I just want to know what's going on here, right? And I said, okay, did you ask Brandy to clarify or assume her mistake or error was in generality? Wasn't trying to be shitty. I was trying to say, look, what does this mean? You know, like, is that your theory or is that the facts? Like, so she did. And I said, she said, it's also worth noting that trauma can majorly affect the brain and what it remembers. Now, yes, it can. Yes, it can. But typically you cannot forget with post-traumatic stress. You can't forget. All right. I'm taking this from my own personal experience, and Mr. Eve in the chat can tell you, as a veteran with head trauma, he knows this. He's told me this too. But moving on. She said, I just texted her. I don't remember every single detail of reporting I did at the newspaper. So I didn't ask her about it when she repeated it to us. I didn't accept that answer. I did not accept that answer at all. So I was like, okay, appreciate you. So she did, in fact, update and text Brandy and then fix it in the article. So here's what's interesting, though. She said, let me get to what I said. I understand and respect that it's difficult to remember these things. However, when people like myself see such a huge timeline difference, maybe the reason for the questions and speculation comes from the confusion of details, meaning news. I'm just trying to help a sister out here because it's not going to get any better for anybody. So she did. She said, understood. Brandy responded, and I'll add the detail to the story to clear it up. And then she also said she saw the police when she sped into the neighborhood and began looking for Michael. So I will correct that in the story and elaborate. Thanks for pointing that out. Y'all, now you know who I am. I just want to make sure things are right. But that is a big difference. That is a huge difference. And I mean, like, why did it no matter what, innocent or guilty on both sides of Summer Wells and Michael Vaughan, y'all have got to understand your timeline. This is not rocket science. You know what you did that day. It should never leave your mind. There is no excuse. This is what helps bring your babies justice if you're innocent. And it makes you look guilty if you're innocent or not. Timelines. It's not hard. It's not. And there's no excuse. So, thank you, Alex, for correcting that and being transparent and not, dissing on me or anybody else. A cockroach did, obviously come into the tweet and said, thank you, Duggan, for your candid clarification. Some individuals pick apart every detail to continue to fit their agenda. Fucking bitch. Excuse my language. There is no fixing that, unfortunately. Nor will any of these minuscule timeline differences affect the devastating direction of the case. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Just because you don't even know the damn facts yourself to compare and contrast, that's not my problem, first of all. And yes, it is a huge deal. And I said, I respectfully disagree, LaWanda, that it is anything but minuscule. It should be corrected, and Alex clarified. You talk about wild speculation, and I just helped clear it up before the video aired. You're welcome, Brandy. You're welcome, everybody. I helped your ass. But I keep receipts. So anyway. That's what I think about that whole situation. Now, let's get to the video. I gotta stop rambling. I only got 10 minutes left. So let me go back to here. And then we're going to also, after the video, we're going to talk about what Tina said, Brandon Shirtlift's mom, and the search that they did at the home. Trigger warning, there is talk about poop. Yeah, I said it. Poop. Whoops, that was the wrong one, but it kind of fit too. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. I'm just going to play this. I'm ridiculous.
Almost as amazing as the internet itself. No router fees, no steep price hikes. Just 100% fiber internet plus $150 Visa reward card on us. Uncable yourself. Get fiber internet from Frontier.
For more than 550 days, a family has faced agonizing pain, searching for their little boy, searching for answers. Michael Vaughan went missing in the summer of 2021.
The case heated up late last year with police digging up a home close to the Vaughans and naming people they believe are involved in Michael's abduction. But we still don't know where the little boy is.
There's a hole.
July 27th, 2021.
But we keep moving on every day, and we don't give up.
The day the world stopped turning for one Idaho family.
I always write every day what day it is. And it says, be strong, be brave, be fearless. You are never alone.
The day a little sister couldn't play with her big brother.
She picks up his pictures. I leave this one here. She'll walk up and she'll start talking to him. And she'll get sad and she says, I miss Monkey. I miss him too.
A day forever imprinted on the memories of everyone.
No matter what, that is horrific. And no matter how, the older two, or specifically the oldest, feels about the Weasels or anybody, my heart breaks for those kids.
One who lives in the family's small, close-knit community of Fruitland, Idaho.
5-year-old Michael Vaughan went missing from this neighborhood behind me.
The search for Michael Vaughan continues.
We just want our monkey home.
Fruitland police say then 5-year-old Michael Vaughan disappeared between 6:40 and 7 p.m. on July 27, 2021. His family says he was last seen down the road from where they live on Southwest 9th Street in Fruitland, and he spoke to multiple neighbors.
Every minute counts in these investigations when searching for a missing child.
By fall, police said Michael was likely abducted.
I want to hear him say, I love you, Mom. It was the last thing I got to hear. That was the last thing he said to you. What? I told him I'd be home to tuck him in.
Multiple agencies, from Fruitland Police and Idaho State Police to Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, scoured the area, searching for Michael on the ground, in the water, from the sky. People from all around the Treasure Valley also helped search for the little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, lovingly nicknamed Monkey.
Michael's still missing. He's not home, and we don't have answers. So we keep going.
Monkey's 6th birthday came and went last June.
That one up top is from Monkey's 6th birthday, and all of the Fruitland Police Department signed the ribbon and brought that.
Now, I am not trying to nitpick. I swear I'm not. But there is somebody in the chat that kind of knows about this monkey. I thought that this one was for Christmas in 2021. but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Department signed the ribbon and brought that.
What do you miss most about him?
His hugs, his jumping on me, his kisses, Mama, when we do this. His inquisitiveness about everything. Just wanting to see the whole world. I want to take him to catch more frogs.
With each passing day, Michael's mom, Brandy Neal, holds out hope they can make more memories. She and his dad, Tyler Vaughan, speak to Fruitland police constantly.
Darn near daily.
And know they're using every resource they can.
Their hearts are broken too.
Just weeks after Michael's 6th birthday.
We've received some recent leads that have put us out in the area again, searching more acreage.
Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff announced a tip in a sea of more than 1,000 tips, led them back to the area where Michael disappeared.
Michael's case fell quiet again for a few months until it got very loud on November 11th, 2022. A major break in the case at a home just across the road, just half a mile away from this neighborhood where the Vaughan family lives. Police say they were looking for Michael's possible remains at a home on Red Wing Street, so close. Brandy says she walked there and knocked on the door early on in her search for Michael.
Now, I wanted to reiterate that she knocked on the door when she was going around the neighborhood asking for Michael early on. I would assume the first week or two. I don't really know. And we did look at the flyer that was printed out pretty early. I think it had a date of July 28th. So she was around that house within probably the first week, like I said, or two. This is very scary to me.
No one answered when she knocked. Huff said a, quote, very credible tip from someone living in the home led them to believe Michael was buried there. Search and rescue crews used heavy machinery to dig up the backyard of this home on Red Wing Street.
Honestly, I didn't really believe it at first. Like it couldn't have been this close.
Yep. So if you take a look at the way to get out where the Wanderers live real quick, if you follow my cursor, I know it's hard to see, but there's only one way to get out of here, okay? And it's with a vehicle. It's either to go around to the left or the right and come around and exit right here onto Southwest 8th, okay, where the Honda Pilot was seen exiting, okay, which we feel is a neighbor on the opposite end of the street of Red Wing. We don't know that. That's just what, with Brandy's, what she has said and the recordings. That's what we think, potentially. Can't confirm it. But there's only one way out. All right. The only other way is down Southwest 8 on the opposite side through the dirt roads that go to either the river, or it can spit you out if you're going the right way onto 84. And you got to do a lot of turns. All right. Just saying. But the logical way to get out of the neighborhood, if you're not nefarious and trying to hide, is to go down Southwest 8. So if it was something to where Michael got out, okay, and was roaming around, like, let's just say he was in the field or in the street over here, they would have to have seen him that way, in my opinion. Or if they came out, whoever it was, he would have to been seen very well. He would have had to been up and down this damn road. Was he out more than they say? if this is an abduction in a sense of a stranger who wanted to do something horrible to a little child, how many times was Michael over there? How many times did they see them? Was there other times of a suspicious vehicle parked over here? I didn't see them in the 911 call logs that I have been reviewing for a year. I don't see those. I see suspicious circumstances in other places, but I don't see them here. I see them over here, but not here. I see them on the bridge going towards Ontario, Oregon, but not here. Just want to make that clear.
I've literally worn my feet to the bone.
We are all very emotionally tied to this case.
Brandy says police told them to hunker down and to stay away from the excavation.
I sat at the end of the road. I watched the trucks leaving with the dirt. But I promised my family, I promised law enforcement, I promised everybody that I wouldn't go over there. It was like day one again. In the first weeks, months, not being able to drive, not being able to think, not being able to do anything. Pour yourself into a shower.
The next day, after more than a year and a half, police arrested someone they believe was involved in Michael's abduction. Even without finding a body, they charged one of the people living in the home, 35-year-old Sarah Wandra, with failure to report a death. Police, for the first time, saying they believe Michael is dead.
Do you understand the allegation that's been made against you?
I understand what they've said is not correct.
But how could they arrest her without finding a body? Chief Huff could only tell me they had probable cause for prosecutors to charge her beyond just statements made.
You're confident that they have more?
They can't tell us, but I'm confident in them.
The judge sealed the probable cause affidavit and other records, not wanting to jeopardize the high-profile case. The Payette County prosecutor said Wandra was on pretrial release at the time, charged with unlawful possession of a gun by a felon. She lives with her partner Stacy, who's been in the Washington County Jail since May of 2022, accused of the same gun charge.
Never seen them, never met them. We left flyers in the door.
In December, Sarah was committed to the state psychiatric hospital after she was found mentally unfit to assist in her own defense.
Now, not that this is just me pointing out that they have never met the Wandras. I want to reiterate to you that there were multiple people living in the home during Michael's disappearance. That does include Brandon Shurtleff. There was a Cesar Garrido name thrown out there. I think JLR cut Brandon Shurtleff off with one more name that wasn't Adrian Lucian, and a Tanner Butler name came out. So I don't know if the family knows them. That hasn't been clarified. It would be a great question to ask. Maybe KTVB could do that, Alex. But that wasn't clarified. But the Wandras, they say they've never met.
It's disheartening. It's upsetting.
Proceedings are paused until her competency can be restored.
But I understand. I understand the process.
According to Chief Huff, she isn't cooperating.
I want answers. I need answers. But I'd like to sit and have a conversation with her face to face with me.
But you can't yet.
No, not yet. There will be a time.
Crews spent days digging up the Red Wing Street property. They brought human remains detection dogs.
All of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
In that same December news conference, Chief Huff announced they believe 2 more people have firsthand knowledge about Michael's disappearance. He said Brandon Shurtleff and Adrian Lucian lived at or visited the Wandras' home when Michael was abducted.
We also believe that there are others associated with the Wandras, Shurtleff, and Lucian who may have knowledge of Michael's abduction.
Police believe Lucy.
So no one has been charged, obviously, with Michael Vaughan's abduction and or alleged death because they believe he's deceased. J.D. Huff said it, as horrible as that is. So people around them have knowledge. Well, how far down the rabbit hole of people who know them know about Michael? And let me tell y'all something. Over the many years of true crime cases that I have followed, and it's been a while, showing my age here, the more people know, the harder it is to keep a secret, even in trafficking rings. People squeak, people talk, people tell on others. That's just the way of it, to save their own ass. Criminals don't care about anybody else but themselves. How many people is it going to take to go down the rabbit hole of who knows about Michael to catch the bad guy or group of people? What is it? Now, I do know J.D. Huff says that they have way more information than just the tip that came in from inside the home. I get that. However, is the community safe? Can you make the community feel safe with their children? And at the same time, not hindering the investigation? Because I'm going to tell you something, people are scared in Payette County. I've talked to them. I see it all the time in the Facebook groups. They're scared. So it comes to reason that they're scared to talk. J.D. Huff even said, thank you for having the courage to come forward. Some of the people that came forward. Well, stop threatening everybody and their mama, people who are in support of the family, because they might felt that way. Shit. You got to stop threatening people. Make an example. If you want people to come forward, let them come forward. Don't scare the shit out of everybody. Maybe that's part of the problem.
Lucian is bouncing between Ohio and California. Public records show he has a lengthy criminal record in multiple states. Shurtleff also has a long rap sheet. In fact, court records show he has a warrant out for his arrest in Canyon County for violating probation, which Chief Huff knows about. From CUNA, Shurtleff's mom told us he now lives in North Dakota. Via Facebook Messenger, she also told us in early December, investigators and cadaver dogs were at her house for days. He is not running. He has nothing to hide, and we have all been cooperating, his mom wrote. A week after releasing their names, Fruitland police said they made contact with Lucian and Shurtleff. However, they haven't charged the men or issued any arrest warrants. While Huff wouldn't comment on why, he says he's confident arrests will be made in this case.
It's not fair if you have information about Michael and you've watched us for this past 545 days and you haven't said a damn word. And we have to wait and wait and wait and still take care of our family and our lives. Somebody needs to say something, and they need to start talking.
As investigators press on, Chief Huff says they continue working closely with the Payette County prosecutor.
You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop.
I hate these words.
I just wanted to say that those are the most goofiest looking group of criminals I've ever seen. I mean, I'm almost damn near embarrassed at this point that these four are a part of a criminal investigation of Michael. I never would have saw this coming in my life.
Start talking.
As investigators press on, Chief Huff says they continue working closely with the Payette County prosecutor.
You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop.
I hate these words. But we will bring him home one way or another. We'll never give up.
While they wait for answers,
These are every single card, kind note that has been sent to our family.
support from their community and from all over. Some were sent to a private DNA lab for analysis. Multiple status hearings have been set for Sarah Wandra, with another scheduled for February 6th, which we will of course be covering. Meantime, Chief Huff believes they'll be doing more searches. A week ago, he posted on Facebook saying they are following up on new information. While searching the home on Red Wing Street, he said investigators recovered several pieces of evidence. Some were sent to a private DNA lab for analysis, which takes time, as everything has with this ongoing active investigation. Huff told me, quote, "I'll continue to ask for patience as we continue to seek justice for Michael."
This is the toughest thing for families of missing.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there. And hone in on a few things before I go. I wanted to point out that when Tina, Brandon's mom, said, they came to the house, we let them search many times. What she said about the leaky toilet is that the dogs from Mountain Search and Rescue alluded to the crawl space, her crawl space at her home. And that was where the leaky toilet was discovered. They didn't find Michael. They didn't find anything that she was aware of. I'm putting that in there because you don't always know just by watching. They're not going to tell you anything. So, I don't know if this search was before or after the Wandras. I have a feeling it was before because they had spoken to Brandon already in North Dakota, law enforcement. I don't know if it was FBI. I don't know who it was, but that's what Brandon Shurtleff said. So it makes me think that maybe his was searched before. So I'm not sure. But what I do know is that they searched the Wandras and Brandon's mom's house. So what's the connection there? Besides Brandon, was Adrian there? Tina didn't really dive into that. So some of the questions that I wish KTVB would have asked, or someone, is, well, what about Adrian? Did he ever show up? Did he ever go to the house? Are you allowed to share what was going on the 27th? Did you see your son? Did you talk to your son? Those things we don't know. I am hoping Tina will talk to me. I have messaged her. I want to clarify the whole poop debacle because she said that the only thing that the dogs alluded to at the search at her house was poop. She does have a lot of dogs. I can tell from her Facebook page. Me being in search and rescue and seeing how the dogs are handled by professionals and seeing what they have done, I do know that dogs automatically go to doo-doo. That is in their survival mode to check for danger. Is this poop old, new? Is it a fellow dog? Are they bad? It's like an autobiography when they smell poop, okay? So as gross as that sounds, it is important because Mountain Search and Rescue said our dogs don't allude or alert to poop. I think this is what the miscommunication is. Tina's not going to know that. She's not a search and rescue dog expert or a canine expert. So we need to clear the air on this before the speculation goes to hell in a handbasket. Regarding the private DNA lab, I think that that's just a last ditch effort to see what these remains are. It could be because they need DNA from maybe the person who put Michael, allegedly or potentially put Michael in that backyard. Maybe they're connecting the dots of who allegedly moved Michael to that backyard. I don't think it's about Michael's DNA. I think it's about someone else's DNA that's a variant potentially. And that does require sometimes requires a private DNA genealogy request. That's what I think. I don't think it's actually about Michael. I think it's about DNA of who may have been in contact with him last. I'll just say that. Yeah, it really is in a dog's nature to smell other animals' doo-doo to see if there is danger. That they literally do that all the time. If you own a dog, you know, right? So I think that is just something that was newsworthy, if you will, to speculate on. We need to clear that up. Come on, like clear it up. I would have asked Mountain Search and Rescue, well, what do they do? What does your dogs allude to if there is poop there? Do they ignore it? Are they super dogs? What do they do? So, this case, man, this case. There's some things in the article that I feel are misrepresented. As you saw, I pointed out to Alex Duggan, who wrote the article. I think I'm going to do that on a different day. I don't want to feel like I'm bashing Alex because I'm not at all. It's just so much information that we have covered it daily in our heads, you know, the weasels, if you will. And we nitpick. That's what we do. And so she's not in that mindset. She's just a journalist reporting what she's told, right? And I don't think it's fair to nitpick every little detail because that's not what I'm trying to do. But there are issues. And I think a different live would be best for that because it is almost an hour and a half. So, guys, thank you so much for staying with me. We'll do another live either this weekend or Monday, something like that. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit that like button on your way out. Much love to everybody. And you know, as I say, drink your water, hug yourself, your babies, your fur babies, your grandbabies. Dawn, grow up. Get off of YouTube, find out what's the reality of your situation. To the family of Randy, Neal, and Michael Vaughan, I hope to see y'all on more upcoming news interviews. It's time. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Much love. Bye.
Are sad, the sky is blue, there are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away, they close the plant and the mall arcade. Kids are sad, the parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away, the seasons pass but the monsters